He says this is a really good deal for Apellis given their shares have struggled a lot recently, and the deal will help Biogen boost its kidney franchise and expand its treatments in rare diseases and immunology.
All right, good stuff. Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Avalon Purnell, and for more stocks on the move, be sure to subscribe to our Stock Movers Reports, where we offer you 5-minute audio reports on the biggest winners and losers in the stock market. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen. Oil prices are moving, but it's actually fractional moves today, Paul.
Yes.
If you consider what we've seen so far for the month of March, up about 50% for WTI, the U.S. benchmark, and Brent, the global benchmark. Today, WTI is up by 1% at $104, and Brent is gaining a quarter of 1% to 107.67. Let's bring in right now our own internal expert, Bloomberg Intelligence senior energy and commodities analyst Rob Burnett, on what's happening in the commodity space. And Rob, for the consumer, the net effect is gasoline prices continue to rise, and they've now topped $4 a gallon on average across the nation for the first time since 2022. And it doesn't seem like this Iran war is going to end anytime soon, even if the president makes noises on social media about potentially ending the military campaign. This sense that the disruption in the Strait of Hormuz will keep oil prices elevated and therefore gas prices elevated continues to be a thorn in his side.
Absolutely. So I think that if you're looking at retail gasoline prices, clipping over $4 a gallon, I think the real thing you have to reconcile is just how long the Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed. And so if you continue to keep it closed, oil has likely continued upside. And, if we're at, let's say there are folks talking about $150, even $200 oil, that could put gasoline prices well north of $5, even approaching $8 on the higher end. So I think much of it just depends on how the conflict is resolved, if it's resolved, and whether we get oil flowing more normally out of that region.
Rob, when you talk to the folks in the energy space, how do they think about the Strait of Hormuz going forward? Is there any scenario where, you need the full cooperation of Iran to secure the strait? Is that kind of where we are?
I think it is where we are. So at the end of the day, I don't think you don't have to have too much sophistication in some sense to keep it closed. Right now, it's closed on the threat of a drone or perhaps mining the strait, that kind of thing. The shippers and tanker operators are reticent to move through that area. And so I think there's all kinds of considerations out there, maybe Iran takes a tolling fee for ships passing through the strait. That is probably not the strategic vision the United States had when entering the conflict. But if it gets oil to flow, it might actually be helpful. So I think there's probably a lot of ways this could unfold, and I haven't seen any obvious exit ramp for the U.S. that gets the strait open, certainly in the immediate future.
As bad as this is for U.S. drivers with gas prices elevated, this is terrible news for much of the rest of the world that imports its energy needs. And we're really talking about Europe, but we're talking about Asia as well. For a lot of those countries, this becomes existential, and they need to secure other sources of energy. And that might just be clean energy, whether it might be other forms of energy that they might have not put as much emphasis on until now. How are you thinking through who wins? Is it as simple as, China makes a lot of the solar power panels and it makes a lot of the wind turbines, and therefore China comes out looking better?
Yeah, very interesting to point out what you just did, because pretty much the entire energy complex is doing pretty well over the last month or so since the kickoff of the conflict. So oil names, quite obviously tied to what's going on with the oil price, which we've already talked about. But the clean energy names have actually done, on average, pretty well. And I think it gets to the point that, particularly if you look towards Europe, their gas price, natural gas price, is significantly higher than we pay here in the U.S. And one way to help manage that is to do more wind and solar. And so those names that are geared to that idea have actually done quite well, despite not the obvious oil tie-in. And I would also note that a lot of the gas that does make its way to Europe comes from the U.S. So the folks who have LNG exposure, gas exposure, have also done pretty well.
So, Rob, here, I guess the move towards renewables has really lost steam here in the United States with this administration. But that's not true for the rest of the world, is it? Give us a sense how the rest of the world is moving forward and maybe how they view the U.S.
Well, let me push back on you a little bit there, Paul, because in the United States this last year, in 2025, I think 95% almost of capacity additions were solar, batteries, and wind, renewables ostensibly. And this year, it's going to be pretty similar. Wow. And so you've got the rhetoric, and then you've got what's happening on the ground. And so despite a lot of pronouncements from the administration that make it sound like we're going to do less on renewables, the reality is if you want to build a power plant quickly, it's probably going to be solar, because even if you want to build a gas power plant, there's a backlog for getting your turbines. And so GE, Siemens Energy, these companies that sell gas turbines, very happy to sign you up for one, but they're not delivering until, say, the 2030 timeframe, a little later perhaps. And so I think renewables are playing in the U.S. because of those factors. And then, yes, zoom out globally, the same phenomena you're seeing. I mean, most of the power additions that we're adding at this point are some combination of wind, solar, and batteries.
All right, good stuff. Rob Barnett, always a pleasure speaking with you. He is our senior energy and commodities analyst, joining us to talk about oil as well as renewable energy, too. Let's switch gears and take a look at what's happening in the tech sector. NVIDIA, it feels like it's been quiet of late, but it is taking a $2 billion stake in Marvell Technology, and it's deepening an existing partnership that it has with that company. Mandeep Singh is our global tech research head here at Bloomberg Intelligence. Mandeep, how meaningful is this for Marvell? How meaningful is this for NVIDIA?
I mean, at this point of time, I feel NVIDIA may end up generating $150 billion in cash for 2026, $150 billion. So they keep giving, $2-3 billion to pretty much everyone.
So not meaningful for NVIDIA.
Not meaningful for NVIDIA. And look, their playbook right now is to create an ecosystem where NVIDIA GPUs are pervasive. Everyone uses them in some capacity. And in this case, Marvell is an ASIC chip maker that does a lot of networking work for and Amazon. So think of how Google has ramped up on Broadcom. Amazon similarly uses Marvell for their custom chip work, networking, etc. So by NVIDIA, by giving Marvell $2 billion, is saying, hey, we want to integrate with your ecosystem, and we'll make NVIDIA GPUs compatible with whatever custom chips that you have, and that is their best way of, really spreading their tentacles in terms of enterprise, public cloud providers. Even though it's Amazon has their custom chips, NVIDIA is finding a way to, sell something to their ecosystem.
NVIDIA for, I guess, calendar 26, the fiscal 27 year, forecast is $250 billion of EBITDA, and CapEx, get this, $7 billion. There's only, I think I might have more CapEx than NVIDIA.
Compare that to $660 billion for the hyperscalers for this year.
NVIDIA is the beneficiary. They're the ones who are taking the CapEx.
So is it just three guys sitting in a garage? Is that NVIDIA, and they're just selling chips to everybody? It's unbelievable.
Look, they've been ahead, and partly that has to do with what they did with Mellanox acquisition back in the day. It was a company like Marvell that they bought 5-6 years back, integrated it really well, And they've just stayed ahead of everyone else, whether it's AMD, Intel, or anyone else in terms of offering the best performance per watt, which is what everyone cares about in the world of AI. And partnerships like this, or even the acquihires that they made with Grok, that $20 billion acquihire. Again, Jensen is like 3 steps ahead of everyone in terms of thinking through what is coming next. And he's thinking about what is the bottleneck when it comes to AI performance. And he's saying it's memory. I mean, some of that has to do with by creating an ecosystem, you'll be able to improve the performance slightly for your chip relative to what Google TPUs will be able to do with other chip providers. And these small increments is what has really kept NVIDIA in the lead. And
It's not an expense. It's a cheap stock. It's 20
That's
times
true,
earnings.
yeah. NVIDIA.
It's a cheap stock.
Yeah. Well,
Unbelievable.
So who has NVIDIA not hooked up with? Who has NVIDIA not partnered with yet?
right now, it's a Google ecosystem, the Broadcom Google TPU ecosystem. I would say that's like a parallel alternative to NVIDIA stack. But again,
Do you see there being any kind of synergy between those two at all? I mean, or are they just developing separately on their own paths?
They are. I mean, Google TPUs are in their 7th version. So from that perspective, they've had a ton of progress on their own. But again, if you're an enterprise and you are using NVIDIA GPUs, you want compatibility. And now it's inevitable that you will be using NVIDIA GPUs in some form, given how spread NVIDIA is at this point. They're like the Intel 20 years back. I mean, everyone used to use Intel. Everyone is using NVIDIA when it comes to AI now.
Stock down 8% year to date. It's up 57% over the trailing 12 months. Are people just waiting for what to take this thing higher? It's 20 times earnings. When I say it's cheap, folks, Ford PE is 20 times for a company this size, of this free cash flow and this growth rate.
And especially when they have given that $1 trillion number,
Yes.
which gives you visibility
All right.
through 2027.
All right.
So it is hard to believe that market is so cynical when it comes to NVIDIA.
All right, I'll just assume I've got a load of this stuff in my various 401ks.
I think
I'm
that's
just
safe
gonna
to
assume.
say.
Mandeep Singh, head of tech research, Bloomberg Intelligence. Appreciate it so much. This is Bloomberg. Good morning.
markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
It's 11:21 on Wall Street. We do check markets all day long here at Bloomberg. We have got the Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ all higher. In this Bloomberg Business Flash is brought to you by Golden Crest Metals. Inflation, tariffs, and volatility have some investors turning to gold for stability. To get a free gold and silver info guide and to learn how to add metals to your IRA or 401k tax and penalty free, go to goldencrestmetals.com/guide, goldencrestmetals.com/guide. As I mentioned, the Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ are all advancing. Wall Street wrapping up a volatile March with gains in stocks and bonds on a news report that President Trump would be willing to end the war in Iran, even with the Strait of Hormuz largely closed. Right now, the S&P is up 92. That is a gain of 1.5%. Dow Industrials trading higher by 1.2%, up 524 right now. NASDAQ, the composite index, up 400 points, up by 1.9%. All of this against the backdrop of the VIX falling now to 27, just above 27, 10-year 4.32%, the 2-year 3.79%. Gold at $46.17 the ounce. Gold surging today by 2.4%, up $107. West Texas Intermediate crude 103.87 a barrel, up by 1%. Barrel of Brent crude 107.05, down now by 0.3%. Bitcoin 67,200, Bitcoin up 0.9%. Two big pharma deals to tell you about. Eli Lilly has agreed to buy sleep drug maker Centessa Pharmaceuticals in a deal worth up to $7.8 billion. Lilly up almost 3%, Centessa up now by almost 45%, and Biogen is acquiring Apellis Pharmaceuticals for $5.6 billion, expanding its treatments in immunology and rare diseases. Biogen down today by 5%. Apellis is surging 135.8%. Again, recapping, stocks higher. The S&P up 1.5%, the 10-year 4.32%. West Texas Intermediate crude just below $104 a barrel, up today by 1%. Scarlett and Paul, that is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, Charlie Paul, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Scarlett Fu and Paul Sweeney live here in our Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York City, streaming live on YouTube and streaming live on Bloomberg.com. I think most economists are saying, the things you got to worry about with this hot war in the Middle East is you got potentially inflation and then potentially, and maybe even more so, a slowing economy. But if you can look past that, or if there is no chief investment strategist at Waddell & Associates joining us here via Zoom. So, David, how are you kind of navigating the near-term uncertainty of this war versus maybe a little bit more optimistic outlook if you could look medium, longer term?
Well, I think people have over-indexed to the war, really. War is just an input, right? The things that matter are the economy and earnings and inflation. The economy looks pretty strong. In fact, if you look at the Citigroup earnings or economic surprise numbers, they're still positive. GDP now is positive. We actually have positive ISMs on manufacturing and services. We got a decent JOLTS number this morning. And so if the economy is going to be positive on the year, then the market has historically an 85% chance of rising. Then we look at earnings. I think coming into the year, energy earnings were supposed to be up 3 or 4%. Now they're supposed to be up 20%. You've seen a little bit of a downtick maybe in industrials expectations, but the rest of the earnings complex is pretty strong. In fact, earnings expectations for the quarter are 13%, 17% going into the end of the year, and those have been rising. The part where the war shows up is in the inflation expectations. Even before the war started, there was some trouble in semiconductor land. If that's the new oil, we are also seeing shortages there. Then, of course, you have what's going on in the energy complex. And so that probably presses inflation up some, but that's not really the surprise. The risk coming into the year was higher inflation. So the way to play it was to favor things with lower PEs, higher cash flows. And if you did that, your portfolio is flat on the year. And I'll vamp on this for a second. I was thinking about Trump when he stood in the Rose Garden with his Chinese menu of tariffs, that added up to 28%. By the end of the year, we were at 12%. If you think about the war campaign, it started off with, well, we'll just eliminate the regime. Well, unfortunately, there are 18 million Iranians who support the regime. So you killed the top 10 or 20, you still got 18 million more. That's kind of a problem. So then we shifted to, all right, well, maybe it's about the Strait. But then we realized, Oil's up 60%. The U.S. stock market's down 6%. Really, all that oil goes to Asia and Europe. Maybe we're not as worried about the Strait. And now it seems like we pivoted to, well, we just need to disarm them. And if this is geopolitical hygiene, maybe this is something we do every few years. That's why the market's rallying today. So he's been de-escalating, which is why I think the rally today is probably appropriate.
Right, but as long as the Strait of Hormuz is not resolved, that will keep oil prices elevated. And at some point, that's going to, whether it shows up in inflation, the outlook for the U.S. economy.
I think it's important to just size what you said, right? I mean, we generate, it only takes 4% or so of inputs for GDP to come from energy. And our energy intensity numbers are way down. We're also a net exporter of energy. We also have 1% GDP stimulus coming from AI. Obviously, oil pushes the scales down, but we got a lot of other things pushing the scales up, and that's why the market hasn't gone down all that much. So you're right. It's a question of how big is that as an influence over the economy overall, and this is not the 1970s. And in fact, if you inflation adjust the price of oil today, it's the same level it's been for the last 20 years on average.
So before Iran, we had a rotation play in the marketplace, maybe out of some of the high grade of the theme.
I think that probably continues, and you're seeing it today. So industrials are rallying, mid caps are rallying, small caps are rallying, value is rallying. The X mags are up smartly today over the S&P, even though the mags are higher because of NVIDIA. So I think that trade continues. The question is, what do you do to take advantage of some of the trader turmoil? And we think about that. Number one, if you've got losses you can harvest them. And either go back to your playbook pre-Iran or try and find shiny nickels. Where are the shiny nickels? Y'all were kind of giggling about this before, and I think you're right. NVIDIA is trading at less than the S&P 500. Now, does that mean I'm going to barrel into NVIDIA? No, but I'd probably take a harder look at it. And if you look at the tech sector overall, valuations have come down 30%, and they're where they were pre-COVID. There's been a lot of discounting there done, even though the earnings expectations have gone up. So I would encourage yours to keep to your knitting, stick with your playbook if you had the right playbook, hopefully you did. Take advantage of opportunities that this market presents, some of the shiny nickels, maybe that's tech, maybe not. So if you came in underweight, maybe that's an opportunity to re-rate. And then just be optimistic, because when we've seen geopolitical shocks like this in the past, when we've seen energy spikes like this in the past, 1 year later, markets were considerably higher.
All right, good stuff. David, thank you so much. David Waddell is CEO and Chief Investment Strategist at Waddell & Associates, staying pretty optimistic on the markets here and also backing up what Paul was saying, that NVIDIA looks like an incredible bargain with its forward earnings, trading at a lower multiple than the S&P 500. All right, let's take a look at the airline sector. Obviously, airlines in focus. It is spring break for most of the United States, and the scenes at the airports in the United States have been not a pretty picture, I should say, for weeks now.
Yep.
And it continues to be a difficult situation, although, TSA agents who show up are doing a fantastic job. And of course, ICE is now there to assist. George Ferguson is our senior aerospace, defense, and airlines analyst. And George, before we get to the Delta deal with Amazon, I just wanted to get your take on whether all the disruptions at the airports through the TSA delays have any kind of material impact on the airlines' bottom lines. I mean, oftentimes they've had to delay flights or hold flights or maybe even cancel flights because of the delays.
Yeah, we're not hearing a lot from the airlines about it yet, but I really can't believe it's not going to have an effect on them in the quarter, right? Because just sort of listening anecdotally to things around the network, I'm hearing Atlanta was particularly bad. And I think that, if you've got customers that are waiting in line 4 hours to get onto domestic flights, sooner or later you miss the airplane and you just go home. And so I can't believe there's not going to be, some level of breakage on some of those flights where passengers just haven't made it, and the airlines have to either give them credit or let them make changes, because they give it, Delta's announced they allow customers to make changes that will affect the bottom line. I mean, as we're looking at this quarter, this quarter already is not going to be a brilliant quarter for U.S. airlines. Like the price of fuel just spiked incredibly at the end of March, and so I think most of the guidance they provided is out the window. And I think, given the war in Iran, 1Q is just the results just going to be poor, and I think it's right now in the airline space. I think if the war with Iran is wound down, and we see fuel and oil prices settle, I think that's going to make investors happier, right? Obviously, and if it doesn't, I think investors' mood is just going to be poor on it.
George, to what extent, if at all, do airlines pass along the surge in fuel costs, and how quickly can they do it? If they do it, is it a fuel surcharge I'll see on my bill? Or how will they do it?
I don't know that it's going to be a fuel surcharge, although I guess anything can happen. But they clearly, what I've heard out of the airlines, we heard them report or talk about the business at the J.P. Morgan conference in mid-March. And a number of them talked about passing on the cost to customers. And Scott Kirby of United said it was going well, passing those prices on to customers, higher prices to cover fuel. It doesn't surprise me. So I think probably a couple things are going on here. Again, we're gonna see as we get into earnings season next week. Delta reports next week. I think one, almost all U.S. airlines don't hedge anymore. And because nobody hedges anymore, they all have to turn and move fares higher to cover their increased costs. And these moves in fuel were very dramatic. And so there's no way they wouldn't want to move higher immediately because they'd be loss-making if they kept fares at the lower level. So I think that means the reset higher happens quicker this round, again, because there's no stragglers out there that are hedged are going to hold fares down for a little while longer. I do think the premium airlines have an easier time passing along to customers, and I think you've got the risk at the low cost that they're going to lose customers in the airplane as they bump up fares, and nobody wants airplanes 50 to 60% full. So I think at that basic economy level, you run a little more risk at the low-cost carriers.
All right, George, thank you so much. George Ferguson, Bloomberg Intelligence, Senior Aerospace Defense and Airlines Analyst. We didn't even get to the idea that Delta is going to use Amazon satellites to deliver in-flight Wi-Fi. Remember when they used to charge you for that?
They still do.
No, not as much, though. They're definitely making it more a part of the overall experience, especially if you are part of their loyalty program.
The technology has not improved since it was introduced maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, you still can't really stream. You can just maybe check your text messages.
Right. So
it's not quite there.
You had there, I think. So.
But you're doing work on your airplane flights?
No. Streaming, doing all that kind of stuff. All right, we'll have more coming up. This is Bloomberg.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
It's 11:40 on Wall Street. We do check markets all day long here at Bloomberg. We have got the Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ all advancing on what is going to be a losing quarter for the U.S. stock market. Right now, the S&P is up 90 points, 64.33. That is a gain of just about 1.4%. So we are recovering some ground after a sell-off that has put the S&P 500 index on track for its worst month since 2022. All of this with Brent crude hovering right around now at just about $107 a barrel on Brent. West Texas Intermediate, 104.26. It is up by 1.3%. And to be sure, Brent is trading lower by 0.3%. The S&P up 89 now, up 1.4%. Dow Industrials up 109. That is a gain of just about Dow Industrials up 485, up by 1.1%. NASDAQ up 382 for NASDAQ, a gain of 1.8%. The VIX above 27, the 10-year 4.32%, the 2-year 3.80%. Again, gold up 2.4%, 46.17 for an ounce of the precious metal. West Texas Intermediate crude with a $104 handle. WTI up by 1.4%. So bottom line here, an update for stocks to wrap up a volatile losing quarter and a losing month, all against the backdrop of the war in Iran. So what about the outlook for the entire year? David Waddell is CEO and Chief Investment Strategist at Waddell & Associates, and he was a guest moments ago right here on Bloomberg Intelligence.
The war is just an input, right? The things that matter are the economy and earnings and inflation. The economy looks pretty strong. In fact, if you look at the Citigroup earnings or economic surprise numbers, they're still positive. GDP now is positive. We actually have positive ISMs on manufacturing and services. We got a decent JOLTS number this morning. And so if the economy is going to be positive on the year, then the market has historically an 85% chance of rising.
David Waddell of Waddell & Associates. Deal news in the supermarket aisle. A deal that brings together many well-known brands. Unilever has agreed to combine its food business with spice maker McCormick. It's a $44.8 billion deal among Unilever's food brands, Hellmann's, and among McCormick's brands are French's Mustard. Recapping, S&P up 1.4%. Scarlett and Paul, that is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, thank you so much, Charlie Pellet. Let's talk about prediction markets because they are all over the place and it's got a lot of people worked up. Yep. Certainly established U.S. gaming companies are worked up, and several states are also worked up because it poses a direct challenge to what is happening at those states, and it also raises questions about whether this is just gambling of another form. Jody Lurie is our credit analyst here at Bloomberg Intelligence, and she's been thinking about this as well and covers quite a number of those gaming companies because, of course, they have a lot of publicly traded credit, too. How are you looking at prediction markets and what it means for the likes of Caesars, Penn, and DraftKings?
So, Scarlett, I think the issue is a little bit more complex when it comes to credit. Because from the equity perspective, it's all about valuation, all about growth. From the credit perspective, what we're sort of dissecting is, okay, yes, all these companies sunk so much money into iGaming and sports betting. And it's more how much of the prediction or how much of the iGaming sports betting is of their revenue and of their EBITDA now and what it's expected to be going forward. So that's where something like MGM's diversification globally really comes into play. The fact that they're only 50% in the US market because they have a joint venture with Entain, and the fact that they have such a global reach in comparison to Penn and Caesars really makes a big difference in terms of this discussion.
So where are we? The 30,000-foot view of these prediction markets. What's the regulatory overview here? What's the story here?
Well, it's changing every day, and Elliot Stein and Brian Egger and Nathan Dean have really been on top of it. It's fantastic work. But I think the key is that it's really heating up between states versus federal rights at the moment. And you're having a bunch of states getting really angry because the CFTC is basically saying, yeah, we can do this in your state. We can force it in. And the states are saying, no, we don't want gambling in our state. You can't force this. This is gambling of another name. And that's where it gets a little bit finicky, is the question of, is it gambling? And what's so interesting is we leveraged AltD, so the alternative data platform. We have something called Similar Web, which is basically web traffic. And so when you go into a website, not an app, but a website of a company. So if you type in, DraftKings.com, it registers on there. And if you look at that in comparison and you see these points of important events such as the US election, the presidential election, or the Super Bowl this past February, you are seeing these giant spikes in the prediction market names like Polymarket and Kalshi. You're seeing these big spikes in comparison to the traditional iGaming and sports betting names. I say traditional air quotes because it's still a relatively new industry in general. I mean, there's only so many states that allow it in the first place, and it's still getting mature every day. And so now you have this wrinkle where these companies said, this is a whole new area for us to do vertical integration. And the prediction markets are saying, just kidding, we're going to throw a whole monkey wrench in your structure.
Is the UK any kind of guide or example that you can look to for an understanding of how things unfold? Because prediction markets are legal in the UK. They're fully regulated. And sports betting has been legal in the UK for much longer than the US.
I think, Scarlett, where you can sort of draw a comparison is how large it could penetrate the market potentially.
The growth potential.
Right, the growth potential. Now, that said, I mean, when you look at casinos in the US versus casinos in the UK, it's a different comparison. You also look at the wealth of the US versus wealth of UK and wealth distribution, right? So it's a very different conversation from that perspective. But in terms of getting some sort of sense of how large a market it is, it really isn't that big of a market or market potential. That said, for these companies like Caesars, like Penn, they dumped in over $3 billion over the past 10 years in growing their online gaming and sports betting. They had a joint venture or a relationship with Disney that failed. Now they're rebranding as theScore. They're spending a lot of money on this product. And so the concept is that you get people in the door, the young people in the door online, and then they're more comfortable going to the regional casinos. If you have the prediction markets and they're saying, well, you don't even have to go to a physical brick and mortar location, what's the value proposition for individuals? Plus the fact that if the CFTC is regulating it, all those 18-year-olds who can't go to Vegas, they can't go to Atlantic City, they can't go online gaming or sports betting, they now can do prediction markets. They can still bet on the Super Bowl.
Wow. So, I mean, how are these bonds trading at these companies? I'm not sure I'd want to be anywhere near these things. How are they trading?
Right. So for DraftKings and FanDuel, you are seeing volatility in their bonds. Now, DraftKings has zero coupon bonds, which they're zero coupon convertibles. And so that Flutter, rather, which is the parent. I think what's so interesting is you do see a lot of the volatility as we get more regulation indication from the markets. Now, getting the regulation, as Elliot Stein has talked about and Nathan Dean has talked about, then we might be in a situation where those bonds could tighten eventually.
Okay, so this is a 2-year, 3-year kind of thing where you have to really look ahead as opposed to being able to trade on this at the moment.
Right.
What kind of unexpected catalysts are you looking for in the meantime?
I think anything that would come out of the, either the Trump administration, I know that they're very deep in the gaming industry. If you look at some of the names, I mean, they have a relationship with Phil Ruffin, who owns, Treasure Island, and certain stuff sort of clears up a little bit. They weigh in on it because obviously they have a incentive for that. But beyond that, I mean, it really is just sort of open space. We're not really sure. But I will say, Scarlett, that the 2 or 3 year time horizon isn't so unusual when you're talking bonds. It is for stocks, but not for bonds.
You mentioned zero coupon convertible bonds.
Yes.
I was doing those back in 1990. Merrill Lynch, liquid yield option notes, Lions. Zero coupon convertible bonds. We were just pushing them out the door left and right, making a fortune on those things. And that's a great thing if your stock's not in a great position. So I'm glad to see they're still around. Jody
They're
Lurie,
very little.
Yeah, Jody Lurie, senior credit analyst, Bloomberg Intelligence, joining us live here in our Bloomberg Interactive broker studio. I don't understand that prediction market and just the regulatory aspect of it. So I just don't know how that's going to play.
I feel like the regulatory aspect of it is there isn't a whole lot of it right now.
Yes, I guess that's right. It's
at the
kind of
federal level.
Wild West a little bit out there. Stocks continue to hold on to their gains here today. The S&P is up 85 points. That's 1.3%. The Nasdaq's up 370 points, 1.8%. So some big moves there. WTI crude oil up $1.50, but Brent is down 30 cents, so kind of stable there.
Slow city lights, slow city nights, slow city lights, slow feels so right. 어제의 시간 멀어지고 slow city lights, I feel alive. 늦은 밤 거리 조용한 리듬 불빛 사이로 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속에 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight 바람이 지나 머리를 스쳐 작은 멜로디 거리로 번져 익숙한 골목 낯선 이야기 오늘의 나는 조금 달라 조용한 heartbeat 리듬을 타고 이 밤이 나를 부른다 Slow city light shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흘러가는 밤 그 사이로 Slow city lights stay tonight 잠들지 않는 도시의 숨 그 안에서 나는 걸어 조금 느리게 하지만 free Slow city lights Slow city nights Slow city lights Slow feel so right 어제의 시간 멀어지고 Slow city lights I feel alive 늦은 밤 거리 조용한 리듬 불빛 사이로 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속에 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight Slow city lights, slow city night, slow city lights, slow feels so right. 어제의 시간 멀어지고 slow city lights, I feel alive. 늦은 밤 거리 조용한 리듬 불빛 사이로 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속에 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight 바람이 지나 머리를 스쳐 작은 멜로디 거리로 번져 익숙한 골목 낯선 이야기 오늘의 나는 조금 달라 조용한 heartbeat 리듬을 타고 이 밤이 나를 부른다 Slow city light shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흘러가는 밤 그 사이로 Slow city lights stay tonight 잠들지 않는 도시의 숨 그 안에서 나는 걸어 조금 느리게 하지만 free Slow city lights Slow city night Slow city lights Slow feel so right 어제의 시간 멀어지고 Slow city lights I feel 늦은 밤 거리 조용한 리듬 불빛 사이로 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속에 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속에 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight 바람이 지나 머리를 스쳐 작은 멜로디 거리로 번져 익숙한 골목 낯선 이야기 오늘의 나는 조금 달라 조용한 heartbeat 리듬을 타고 이 밤이 나를 부른다 Slow city light shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흘러가는 밤 그 사이로 Slow city lights stay tonight 잠들지 않는 도시의 숨 그 안에서 나는 걸어 조금 느리게 하지만 free Slow city lights Slow city night Slow city lights feel so right 어제의 시간 멀어지고 Slow city lights I feel 늦은 밤 거리 조용한 리듬 불빛 사이로 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속에 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight 바람이 지나 머리를 스쳐 작은 멜로디 거리로 번져 익숙한 골목 낯선 이야기 오늘의 나는 조금 달라 조용한 heartbeat 리듬을 타고 이 밤이 나를 부른다 Slow city light shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흘러가는 밤 그 사이로 Slow city lights stay tonight 잠들지 않는 도시의 숨 그 안에서 나는 걸어 조금 느리게 Slow city lights, slow city nights, slow city lights, slow feels so right. 어제의 시간 멀어지고 slow city lights, I feel alive. 늦은 밤 거리 조용한 리듬 불빛 사이로 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속에 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight 바람이 지나 머리를 스쳐 작은 멜로디 거리로 번져 익숙한 골목 낯선 이야기 오늘의 나는 조음을 타고 이 밤이 나를 부른다 Slow city 흘러가는 밤 그 사이로 Slow city lights stay tonight 잠들지 않는 도시의 숨 그 안에서 나는 걸어 조금 느리게 하지만 free Slow city lights Slow city nights Slow city lights Slow feels so right 어제의 시간 멀어지고 Slow city lights I feel alive 늦은 밤 거리 조용한 리듬 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈춰를 데려 Slow city light 다가가는 Slow city 바람이 지리로 번져 이 눈에 나는 리듬을 타고 Slow city light feels so right 흘러가는 밤 그 사이로 Slow 번져 익숙한 골목 낯선 이야기 리듬을 타고 이 밤이 나를 부른다 Slow city light shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흘러가는 밤 그 사이로 Slow city lights stay tuned 잠들지 않는 도시의 숨 그 안에서 나는 걸어 I'm free Slow city lights Slow city nights Slow city lights Slow feel so right 어제의 시간 멀어지고 Slow city 리듬 불빛 사이로 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight 멜로디 거리로 번져 익숙한 골목 낯선 이야기 오늘의 나는 조금 달라 조용한 heartbeat 리듬을 타고 이 밤이 나를 부른다 Slow city light shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흘러가는 밤 그 사이로 잠들지 않는 도시의 숨 그 안에서 나는 하지만 free Slow city lights Slow city nights Slow city lights Slow feel so right 어제의 늦은 밤 거리 조용한 리듬 불빛 사이로 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속에 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight 바람이 지나 사이로 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속에 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight 바람이 지나 머리를 스쳐 작은 멜로디 거리로 번져 익숙한 골목 낯선 이야기 오늘의 나는 조금 달라 조용한 heartbeat 리듬을 타고 이 밤이 나를 부른다 Slow city light shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흘러가는 밤 그 사이로 Slow city lights stay tonight 잠들지 않는 도시의 숨 그 안에서 나는 걸어 조금 느리게 하지만 free Slow city lights Slow city night Slow city lights feel so right 어제의 시간 멀어지고 Slow city lights I feel 늦은 밤 거리 조용한 리듬 불빛 사이로 흐르는 feeling 사람들 속에 스치는 순간 어쩐지 오늘 가벼운 마음 멈췄던 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight 바람이 지나 머리를 스쳐 작은 멜로디 거리로 번져 익숙한 골목 낯선 이야기 오늘의 나는 조금 달라 조용한 heartbeat 리듬을 타고 이 밤이 나를 부른다 Slow city light shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흘러가는 밤 그 사이로 Slow city lights stay tonight 그 안에서 나는 걸어 조금 느리게 하지만 free Slow city lights 시간 천천히 움직여 이 밤이 나를 데려가 Slow city lights shining tonight Slow city lights feel so right 흐르는 이 밤 다가가는 Slow city lights hold me tight 바람이 지나 머리를 스쳐 작은 멜로디 거리로 번져